Hello everyone, welcome back, and today in this video, of course, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about Barcelona. I did want to talk more about some of the things that we learned and things that we could take away from that game against Manchester City where I think Barcelona did play pretty well. And then also I wanted to talk about the transfer window because I think a lot of Barca fans are a little bit upset with the transfer window that Barcelona are having. And in my last video, I did get a comment that said my video was pretty unorganized, and I definitely agree with that. So I did kind of outline some things that I wanted to talk about. So basically, have Barcelona found their defensive midfielder after that game against Manchester City? I wanted to also talk about the potential signing of Dani Olmo and whether I think it's a good idea. Also, Vitor Roque, the game that he had against City was not great. And then also, I wanted to brush on Nico Williams a little bit as well because I think a lot of Barca fans are just very impatient. And of course, you guys know, you all know how much I want to see Nico Williams play for Barcelona. It would be just such an incredible signing. It'd be the most important signing that they can make this summer. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about all of that today. And so I want to start off with the question, have Barcelona found their defensive midfielder within the academy? Do they not have to make a signing in that position? Because Laporta said before the year that he wanted to sign a left winger and also a defensive midfielder. But Marc Casado and Marc Bernal, I think they impressed so many fans. And we heard a lot of good things about Marc Bernal, of course. He looks very promising. And Marc Casado as well. The things that he did with the B team, those were all great. So it was very nice to see them both get the start and to be trusted by Hansi Flick. In this 4-2-3-1 that Hansi Flick is going to play, I think it's very obvious that he's not going to play with a lone pivot with just one defensive midfielder. I think it's going to be a double pivot. And the 4-2-3-1 that we saw with Marc Casado and Marc Bernal together, it worked very well. And of course, there are already rumors that that's going to be the starting lineup, the starting midfield for Barcelona next game. And I would really like to see more of that because, you know, initially I thought it was going to be someone like Mikel Merino that was going to be brought in. But, I mean, I'm thinking about the start of this next season. We're going to be missing Gavi, Pedri, and Frenkie de Jong for, I want to say, at least a couple weeks until maybe one of them come back. And I think slowly they'll be brought back into the team. But, I mean, that's a lot of quality. Those are a lot of important players that you're going to be missing. And who are you going to be able to fill those gaps with? And Marc Bernal, I think he was so good. I can't praise him high enough for the performance that he had. Of course, it's just preseason. Man City didn't have their best players on the field. But what he was doing with the ball, I think he looked so composed. His touches were great. He looked like a very intelligent, smart player. And yeah, I was very impressed with him. And Marc Casado as well. I think his work rates, everything he was doing off the ball, I think Hansi Flick is going to really appreciate that going into next season. So honestly, I would not be surprised if those two do get some minutes in the first month or so in the season. And I'm going to open that question up to you all. Do you think that's enough? Or do Barcelona still have to sign another midfielder? And I understand if some fans think that they should sign a defensive midfielder, but honestly, all the links have completely slowed down. I thought it was maybe going to be Mikel Merino. I think that would have been a safe transfer for around 20 to 30 million, but it looks like he's off to Arsenal. Zubimendi announced he's definitely going to stay at Real Sociedad. Angelo Stiller for that 50 million price tag that Stuttgart put on him, not going to happen. And to be honest, if Barcelona do go into next season without buying a defensive midfielder, without bringing someone from outside the club in, I would be okay with it, to be honest. And I said that before the game started. I said hopefully Marc Casado can maybe come into the first team and have a good impact there. But I was really impressed with him and also Marc Bernal. So I'm excited to see how well they do. And to be honest, if you're going to ask me that question, I would say Barcelona, they don't need to go onto the market and buy one. I think it would be a good addition, of course, and I wouldn't be against it. And I always say, like, oh, when everyone's healthy, there's going to be like 6 or 8 midfielders in that position. I mean, who's going to start? But to be honest, I think we'd be so lucky if all of our midfielders are healthy for one game this season. To be completely honest, that's how it's been for Barcelona in the past couple years. That really we've seen maybe 2 or 3 games when the squad is fully healthy. So you just can't rely on that. It's unfortunate. I mean, the players are playing 60, 70 games a season, so of course it takes a toll on their body, and they're not able to keep up. And players like Pedri, Gavi was so unfortunate with that injury. So to be honest, I think Marc Casado and Marc Bernal, they could provide cover, and I don't think Barcelona need to go on the market to sign a defensive midfielder because I just don't think it's going to happen. And the next thing that I wanted to talk about was Dani Olmo, because I think a lot of Barca fans following that game against Man City, it's pretty clear that I don't think the player that Barcelona needs to bring in is an attacking midfielder, because we saw Pablo Torre do very well, and I don't want to just take it based on that performance. I think Girona, I only watched a few games of theirs, and mostly it was when they came up against Barcelona, to be honest. And I just think he had a couple good touches here and there. Sometimes he would drift in and out of games, but I feel like that's the same exact thing I say about Dani Olmo. And I will be completely honest, the level of quality there, it is different. I don't think Pablo Torre could have went to the Euros with Spain and had the impact that Dani Olmo had. He has so much quality right near around the box. I think he can provide a lot of, good chances there. He's got some great touches in him, and he has a goal-scoring instinct. That's all great. But then, what happens to Fermin Lopez? I think Fermin Lopez did very well. I think he maybe had 11 goals for Barcelona in a very dysfunctional team that was not doing very good. But individually, he had such a good season, and we have to give props to Xavi for that, because I think a lot of coaches wouldn't have even given him a chance, but he gave him a chance in preseason, and he succeeded. He did so well. So I'm really excited to see how well Fermin Lopez does under Hansi Flick. But another player that I think people are forgetting for that attacking midfield position is also Gundogan, because what we saw with him in Germany, it was Toni Kroos and Andrich from Bayer Leverkusen as the two holding midfielders. And then Gundogan was in front of them. He wasn't getting that many touches, but the touches that he had were very influential. He was close to the box, and I think that's Gundogan's best position. When you're letting him make those runs, he's very intelligent. He's a great player. Just the touches that he takes, their class, the little short passes that he can give off to his teammates, that's great. So he can also play as an attacking midfielder. So for that one number 10 position, basically, it's Gundogan, Pablo Torre, Fermin Lopez, and Pedri can play there as well. Gavi possibly could play there as well. I feel like he would maybe be more as like a 6 or an 8, but he could definitely play in the 10 as well. And then Noah Darvish in the academy. Does Dani Olmo really need to be signed this summer? I've said that it's still a luxury signing, but I think after that preseason game, it was even more evident that that's the case. Because not that Pablo Torre and Fermin Lopez are at the same level of quality as Dani Olmo, but they can do the job. And I just don't think $60 million is worth it this summer in a position that's basically stacked and covered. And I will be honest, I'm not going to be surprised if Laporta and Deco, they panic a little bit, and if Nico Williams does not join the club, which of course I really hope does not happen. But if he doesn't join, I think they probably will sign Dani Olmo for $60 million. And look, I mean, everyone's talking about it on Twitter. If he does join, I will support him 100%. I would be excited to see a new player join the club, but I just don't think, financially it's the right idea. For $60 million, I'd rather save that $60 million and then trust in Fermin Lopez and Pablo Torre and Pedri and Gundogan in that position. And then maybe next summer, if Nico Williams does not join the club, next summer maybe they can go for someone like Rafael Leao that would cost around $100 million. I'm not saying, that's what the plan should be, but I just don't know if Dani Olmo for $60 million is something that I can exactly get behind. But if he does come, of course I'll support him 100%. He'd be someone that I'd be excited to watch for sure. And at the Euros, he was very good. But a lot of people are talking about his injury record. It's not really ideal for Barca, a club that's really struggled with injuries and struggled with players being able to play even 60%, 70% of the games in the season. To bring another player in that possibly will also miss a majority of the games. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like the best piece of business. But yeah, Dani Olmo, unfortunately, I just don't think it's the right type of signing that Barcelona needs to make. I think they're covered in that position. If they were going to sign someone this summer, it should be a true natural left winger that can take players on. I just don't think Dani Olmo is that type of player. And that brings me into Nico Williams, because I think a lot of Barca fans are getting very impatient. They just want this signing to happen, and I completely understand. I've said for the last year that I would just love to see Nico Williams join Barcelona, and it was so nice to see him and Lamine Yamal on the wings for Spain. They were the two most important players on the team. I know a lot of people talk about Rodri. He did win the player of the tournament. But just to have those two outlets, the creative outlets that are taking people on, that are playing with a lot of freedom, that are making things happen, that are very exciting to watch, that's what I really hope we see at Barcelona next season. But to be completely honest, in the last week or so, I think it does seem like Nico Williams is closer to actually staying at Bilbao than joining Barcelona, which I really hope that that's not the case. I still think there is a possibility. There's a report going on currently that the Libero sale, which I think is like Barcelona's social media team, something like that, they're supposed to get $40 million for it, and then that would help Barcelona register their players. So it seems like the report is saying that Barcelona are basically waiting for that sale to be finalized, and then they can offer Nico Williams a contract at Barcelona. But then is Nico Williams going to wait for that? If that's the case, I don't know. I think it's really confusing for me, because if he has made up his mind, do you think he would have announced that he's staying at Athletic Bilbao? I don't know. He's currently on vacation with Lamine Yamal. I hope Lamine Yamal is saying, please join me at Barcelona. That would be very nice. But I just don't know. I can't really get a read on this situation. I feel like most summers I kind of have a feeling what Barcelona is going to do and the signings that they're going to be able to pull off. But with Nico Williams, it's just confused me. It's thrown me in a loop, honestly. But I really hope that he's able to join the club. I think $50 million, Barcelona could match that price. And then I think his salary demands, I don't think they'd be too expensive for Barcelona. I think they could financially make this signing happen. At least Laporta has said that. and La Liga has hinted at that as well. But of course, the biggest question is, will Nico Williams leave Bilbao? And to be honest, right now, it does seem like he might be closer to staying at Bilbao. But like I said, I hope that's not the case, and I really hope that Barcelona can sign him this summer. And then I also wanted to talk about Vitor Roque, because a lot of Barca fans are talking about that performance against City. As we all know, it was terrible, to be completely honest. I think he maybe had a few passes, didn't really do anything other than that. I mean, he was basically playing as a left wing back. The only times that he was really close to the ball were when he was defending 1v1, which, I mean, why would you buy a striker from the Brazilian league that was doing so well, that was scoring goals for his team in important matches, to bring him into Barcelona and play him as a left wing back? It just, I mean, I think there are some players that are versatile, right? That they can play in different positions. Like Dani Olmo, for example, as a left attacking midfielder, in the middle as a midfielder. You know, he can even play as a center forward, I would think, and on the right. But like Vitor Roque is just not at all that player. He's only a number 9. Like that's it. That's all he can do. Like if he were to try and be played in the midfield, not going to work at all. On the wings, it just doesn't get the best out of his abilities. And I think what he does off the ball is very good. I think he's a very hardworking player. He's pressing very well. He's making good runs. And I think he did have a couple good runs where maybe Barca players could have found him and then we could have seen him in on goal. But it's just, Vitor Roque, he's not one of those players that you want to have a lot of touches. I think he's more of a fox in the box. And Barca, they're just not giving him that opportunity. But I don't want to blame Hansi Flick at all, because Pau Victor in that game was great. Not just the goal that he took very well, but also his runs off the ball. I think his passing, his little layoffs that he did. He just looks like a very smart player and very tidy in tight spaces. He looked great, and he looked very deserving of that start that Hansi Flick gave him. So I'm not really clowning Hansi Flick at all in his decision to play Vitor Roque on the left. But just Deco, I don't know. It's just, I was very excited for Vitor Roque. I think now I still have hope that he will succeed at Barcelona. But if both Xavi and Hansi Flick have not really counted on him, and it now seems like he might actually be the third choice striker, is he really going to get that many minutes? Because my guess is Lewandowski is going to play a lot this season. And who knows, it could just be based on one game. So maybe Vitor Roque is still the backup number 9. But why would Hansi Flick start Pau Victor over Vitor Roque in that position if he didn't really count on him and see more in Pau Victor currently? You know, it's just a difficult situation. I think the way that Barca have handled it has been, of course, really poor. No ways around it. For Vitor Roque, his confidence is pretty low right now, it seems, and he's definitely not playing the best right now. But I can't really put much blame on him, because it's just like playing, like, imagine if Lewandowski was playing as a left winger. Like, you would not want to see that, you know? And I to be honest, never want to see Vitor Roque on the left again. I think it was very evident to me that that was not his preferred position. He wasn't doing very good there when Xavi played him there. But, yeah, it's rough. I feel for Vitor Roque because I think he really wants to succeed, and I hope he does. I still think he has a load of time, and he has a lot of potential. I hope we're able to see that. But it's just a difficult situation. I might make another video on it, because if he is currently the third choice striker and you just bought him for 30 to 60 million and he's not going to get that many minutes this season, would it be better to send him out on loan to a team, you know, in the Serie A, maybe the Bundesliga, where he can hopefully get a lot of good opportunities and some minutes, but then his agent and Vitor Roque himself do not want to leave Barcelona this summer. So it's just a situation that Barcelona, they put themselves in, and they did not really think it through. So, yeah, I feel for Vitor Roque, and I hope he can succeed. But it does look difficult right now. But we'll just have to wait and see. I hope he gets more minutes this preseason. But as always, thank you very much for watching my video. I know we're all very excited for this season to officially start, but preseason is looking very nice. I think the way that Hansi Flick had lined up his team and the way that they played for him and the work rates that we saw in that game from La Masia players, that was very nice. And it makes us all even more excited for this season to start. And I love talking about all this stuff with Barcelona. If you would like to see a specific video, please let me know. I would love to make another one. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Visca Barca. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and see you all later. Peace.